Hi, and welcome everybody to another edition of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. I'm professional sports handicapper Ross Benjamin of rbwins.com. I'm joined today's special appearance on a Wednesday instead of a Thursday this week by Mr. Doug Upstone of docsports.com. Doug, a lot of interesting news on the horizon. I know that a couple topics have piqued your interest.
Yes, for sure on that. And yeah, by the way, it's not that special. I have something I got to do tomorrow and Friday, so we got to do it on a Wednesday. So it's called circumstance. That's why I'm here. Yeah. So just don't want to give anybody a false impression here about why
you're
I'm here.
Special. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Or like CNN losing breaking news. Did you see that?
No, I missed that.
They're doing away with it, or essentially doing away with it, because they had a thing where, if the president went to the bathroom, that was breaking news, kind of how they did that. And so it's all gone now. They got a new guy running the operation, so that's all gone. But okay, enough about that. Yes, there's some. Really
wait. I got one question for you before we get into these topics.
Yes.
I had Colorado against Edmonton in Game 4. Obviously, I was on pins and needles because they gave up a late goal to tie the game. They overcame a 2-goal deficit twice. It goes to overtime, and I don't know if you saw the overtime goal, but it had to be replayed. And did you catch the part with Don Koharski when he came on the air?
No, I did not. No.
Well, so it was what they were reviewing was if he hit it above his shoulder.
Right.
Okay. So, or tipped it above his shoulder, I should say. And Koharski comes on and says, I really don't think that's the case because the rule is it's your stick has to be over your shoulder if the goalie made the save and then you scored on the rebound. Otherwise, it's the height of the crossbar is what they go by. So he said, I'm pretty sure he did not go over the shoulders when he tipped this. And they showed the replay. And what spurts out of his mouth? Holy shit, I think it might have. Right out the air. And it's like everybody froze for a second. And it was hilarious, So
yeah, that is good.
Of course, the guys wiggled their way out of it with some, jokes about it and all that. But anyway, I had to bring it to your attention. I didn't know if you saw that or not.
No, because I had it on because I was watching something else with my wife, but I had the game on. And I saw it, and I mean, just looking at it from what I saw, I mean, he clearly had it above his shoulder. But be that as it may, they made the call and they decided to stick with it, and then and it was a pretty ticklish situation to have to backtrack that one. It seemed.
Yeah. The old. 2-word get out of jail free card is always when you replay definitive evidence.
Right, exactly. Yes.
Maybe that's what they deemed it not to be,
And for both you and I, that was a nice overtime winner. How about that?
It was very good, Doug. I thought of you. I says, I hope Doug
I'm sure you did
the same side as me, because I don't even want to bring it up that I won this game. Because with fear of him going on about his overtime record and taking his sheets out and anyway.
Yeah, Well, you saw my tweet the other day, anyways. I know you liked it that I posted the other day, so I knew that would make you happy as well.
Yes. Anyway, so Doug, before I rudely interrupted, go ahead and let's get to topic number 1 on your agenda you'd like to discuss.
Well, the one of the things, this is just, it's not really sports betting directly, but obviously we have the new Saudi Arabian golf series, the LIV Golf, that's going on, and a number of PGA professionals are not a number. There are some PGA professionals that are leaving, and there's some of note. Okay, like a Dustin Johnson, for example, and like Patrick Reed and Bryson DeChambeau and Ricky Fowler today all announced that they're leaving. There's going to be, some of that anytime you have something like this. And, the sport of golf, it's based on performance. That's how you get paid. Now, it's not nearly as bad as what it used to be, okay, from that standpoint, because it used to be that you made your living, okay, entirely. That now there's the endorsement deals are crazy. The purses are, extremely high, thanks to Tiger Woods. But it's an interesting dynamic. And, myself personally, I'm kind of torn a little bit. The only thing that bothers me is, and this is the case with all people in sports or in a lot of things, it just, to be honest, instead, I mean, the reason that they're leaving, okay, is because of money. Okay. And so if you just be honest and just say, I'm leaving for the money, it's not to provide for my family. It's not, these guys have made millions and millions of dollars. They have contracts that have paid them millions of dollars to wear certain shirts, certain hats, have logos on their shirts, all this stuff. So they're just going for the money. And just, it would just be refreshing for somebody just to say it. Don't have to say it like you're a big jerk. Hey, you know what? I have an opportunity. I can make a lot of money doing this, and I don't have to, because in this new thing, it's only 54 holes compared to 72.
Okay.
There is no cut, so you never have to worry about that. They don't have that many players, so they can't cut, okay, at this point. And so just put it out there, though. Just be honest, okay? I don't think anybody in today's world, I mean, people already know you're doing it for the money. Why not just pull the rug out and just say, you know what, I am doing it for the money. Okay. So don't have to hide it. Just be honest about it. Now I get the whole thing about, with the Saudi prince, with the crime that they committed in killing that individual, the reporter. Okay. That's a bad thing. But some of the other things, I'm not saying that's good. I guess I should make that clear on that. I definitely think that's very wrong. But some of the other leagues, the NBA has some agreements with China there's some issues there, and other leagues have other sports. Formula One is doing business with the Saudis, and so are others, more quietly than this. But it's out there. So each person has to make their own individual decision. And the other big benefit for these guys, though, is that I think all the majors are basically independently run, so they can still play in the major tournaments, unless something different changes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, are they still eligible? I know, if I'm not mistaken, was it Phil Mickelson who said he canceled his membership to the PGA?
Right. Well, that's what they did. Yeah. I mean, they either revoked their membership, not revoked. They resigned from the PGA Tour. Okay. So, but that's for the regular PGA Tour events. Okay. Right. Now, in terms of now, like the PGA Championship, that's run by, even though it's PGA, it's run by a different organization. So that tournament it's already passed, but that tournament would also be exempt because PGA Tour is different than the PGA Golf of America, two separate things. Sure. So they'll get to play it, in the majors. So it's going to add an interesting dynamic. Now, to sports bettors, it doesn't make any difference, from that standpoint. You're still going to, if you're interested in betting it, you should and can, and just like you can, like this weekend's the Canadian Open, and I put my picks in for that and stuff. I myself, though, probably won't be doing anything with that one. Just my principles. Okay. Yeah. And that's what everybody has to do. Okay. As far as that goes.
Absolutely. It's your own prerogative. And I could say one thing for sure is these PGA guys getting all these big endorsements. How come me and you don't get an endorsement? I don't get it. I think what am I missing here? Anyway.
Neither one of us could play golf, even though I was in the golf business for a long time.
We're good at what we do. We're amongst the best at what we do globally.
Yes, just not in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, the Belmont.
Right.
Coming up on Saturday, Doug. Not a lot of people talking about it because there's nobody who could win the Triple Crown this year after Rich Strike, is it? That won the Kentucky Derby, passed on the Preakness, but he is going to be running in this Belmont. So your take.
And he's trying to become the first horse to win the Belmont and the Kentucky Derby while passing on the Preakness since 1954. So a little useless trivia for anybody that's out there on that. To me, looks like there's four main horses in this race. Okay, there's the favorite, You the People, who won what was called the Peter Pan Stakes, which was run at Belmont, and a lot of people definitely are likely to be betting on him to win, and I can certainly understand why. Strong horse, front runner. Okay, Rich Strike is is the wild card in all this for anything, whether it be to win, place, or show, or whatever. There's just so much unknown. I mean, had the one tremendous race, there was nothing that would have led anybody to believe that it could happen, that it could have happened to begin with. So that's a really crazy one. Mo Donegal was fifth at the Kentucky Derby. Probably would have been even more of a favorite, but it was on the rail at the Derby, which is, pretty much known as, a dead spot to be. And so that horse was going to get a lot of attention there. Creative Minister was third. Part of when I won the trifecta, it was third at the Preakness. So that horse has got some life. Another one that's at least interesting is Nest. Nest is the only female in the race. Okay. And there's, the Secret Oath at the Preakness was a female that had won the Kentucky Oaks, the female version of the Kentucky Derby, if you will. And it didn't do much at the Preakness. There's a general feeling that Nest, who ran second in the Oaks, probably isn't going to do much either. The only one thing where I at least keep the window open in terms of, I haven't made my final picks yet, but got the window open, is the pedigree of the horse of Nest, is that it is definitely a horse that has the ability to run longer distances, okay, as compared to some others. So the pedigree is there for that to occur. So that might put it, potentially for any better, in looking at the verticals of a trifecta or a superfecta, might be a horse to maybe include on that. So, but it should be a really good race. And, and obviously with Rich Strike, that adds a lot of intrigue.
So the Belmont is the longest race of the 3 triple.
That is correct. It's a mile and a half or 12 furlongs.
Yep. So
yeah,
you want to keep an eye on that. I mean, that's a good point with the pedigree of the horse. Bodes well for distance runners, I should say.
Yes.
In that regard. So we'll see. I mean, Rich Strike, let me ask you this, Doug. I haven't even seen the morning lines yet, if they're even out yet, but
yes.
Is he going to be a overvalued horse? I mean, I think that's almost obvious to answer. You just alluded to the fact. Let me go back, and if I'm listening correctly, that horse, Rich Strike, of course, came aboard in the Kentucky Derby a day before the Derby because another horse had bowed out. Right. Goes from New York to Louisville, 24-hour period of time. Next thing you know, a horse enters the race under those circumstances, has only had 1 lifetime win and 7 career starts, and shocks the field and wins the race. Not only shocks the field because of the long odds, but the whole circumstances surrounding her being there. All right, so now we go to the Preakness, they pass. We get into the Belmont because the trainer wanted the proper rest, and understandably so after listening to your dichotomies the last time on Triple Crown Racing. And now it's in the Belmont, and all of a sudden now this horse who won the Kentucky Derby is now 2 for 8 lifetime in terms of winning races. Is it going to be overvalued, and or is it fairly valued at this point right now?
It's the third choice. I think I want to say 7-2 comes to mind. I could be wrong on that, but that's what comes to mind. It's one of those things that's really hard to say. I mean, is the horse overvalued? I guess you have to say it is, based on the history. Sure. But based on the most recent history, winning the Kentucky Derby, you'd have to say no. And that's what makes it so unusual and so peculiar. It's what to do with the horse. I mean, I think any horse bettor, that follows us closely is going to be not probably going to have it to win. Okay. I think there's at least 2 better horses in this race. Now, obviously horse racing, the best horse doesn't always win. That's clear, but it's really, I think it's really a tough call with that horse, what to do with it, And so I think it's going to be the most heavily bet horse by the public because they'd like to see it to win. Yep. So the odds probably aren't going to be fair from that standpoint. But I'd be very surprised if sharp horse players, pick this horse to win and probably have it probably more in the range of, the bottom of a superfecta, let's say a third or fourth. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. The thing is we've seen a lot of horses in the past. And again, I'm not a horse racing aficionado. I like to go a couple times a year. I enjoy it. I know how to read the form. I'm a much better sports handicapper than I'll ever be a horse handicapper. But by the same token, Doug is an aficionado in horse racing, and he won't tell you that. I'm telling you that. Doug, I recall horses that go through an ownership change, a trainer change, a jockey change. All of a sudden, the light goes on, if you will, for lack of a better phrase.
Yep.
And it starts racing much better than it ever has in the past. I don't recall an instance like this where a horse all of a sudden shocks the world and nobody on reading any kind of handicapping form or telling you got any kind of inside information would have ever predicted this horse winning the Kentucky Derby, although there was a couple winning tickets, obviously. Right. But this horse goes from going off at 80-1 to now he's 7-2. And my question, I guess, Doug, is do you recall a horse like this it being a flash in the pan, all of a sudden coming out of nowhere to win a race and then reverting back to its old form of being, not a winner on a majority of the basis?
Yeah, I don't recall. I mean, there was one other horse, and it escapes me now that won the Kentucky Derby under some somewhat similar circumstances years prior.
Yeah.
And is the case with almost any of this is that, if they fail in their next race, okay, they got their 15 minutes of fame and they're just gone. Okay. Yeah. And maybe you'll hear about them, again, probably the next time you hear, if Rich Strike comes in last, let's just say, or seventh in this race. I mean, I think that's all you're going to hear. And the only time that horse is going to come up again is the next time a 75 or 80-1 shot wins the Kentucky Derby, because that's when it's news.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about a horse that was bought for $30,000.
Unreal.
And just the Kentucky Derby alone, the prize money, I believe, was close to $1 million for the first place finisher. Correct me if I'm wrong, Doug.
Yeah, I actually don't follow. That's one thing I don't follow.
It was I know that the total purse was 1.8 million.
Okay.
I believe around 900,000 went to the winner.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yep.
Yeah. So in any event, boy, oh boy, talk about a return on your investment. Not only that if he falls on his face in the Preakness, and I'm using that terminology in sports terms, it's a metaphor. I don't want to see the horse fall on his face, right, obviously. Right. But I could see them just, putting it out the pasture and studding that horse off. There's
see what happens.
What more can you gain? I mean,
right.
It might cost you more money to keep him racing than it's worth.
Right.
Again, we'll see. Anyway, it's time to talk Major League Baseball. Doug, I was looking, I had lunch with one of the sports personalities on the radio in town yesterday, and he said, Ross, he goes, do you recall so many big, because he likes to take a shot, sports better, and I don't want to mention his name because it's a privacy thing. And the bottom line is he mentioned to me, he said, Russ, do you recall this many big favorites on such a high percentage daily this early in the year? And I said, no, I haven't. And it's quite obvious there's a lot of bad teams. And lo and behold, I looked, Doug, there's 9 of the 15 teams in the American League have a losing record. 7 of the 15 teams in the National League, or 8 of the 15 teams in the National League have a losing record. And as far as the winning teams, there's 13 out of 30 teams that have a winning record in Major League Baseball, less than 50%. And 7 of them come from 2 divisions, the AL East and the NL West. So just your quick thoughts on that. I know, I think you hinted at that a couple weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's just it's there. I mean, all you do is look at the numbers on a daily basis. It's hard if you like to do money lines. It's hard to find anything other than maybe on average 4, maybe 5 games a day that are 150 or less. Okay, if you're looking at favorites, so that makes it definitely a challenge. And then obviously when you start going to run lines, there's basically a third of roughly 30% or thereabouts of games end with a score of 1 run. So that means you're going to take some of those things out right away in terms of run lines. Again, unless you're taking underdogs, or if you're taking, unless you're taking the plus 1.5, but then you're paying a lot of extra juice to do that then too. Yeah, you can win, but if you lose,
I mean, that's the thing. I would never, I don't care how top heavy it is right now. Betting big chalks, folks, is going to drain your bankroll a lot quicker than you would think, because at the end of the day, you might get a false sense of security over a week or two by doing that. Okay. But eventually it will catch up to you. And like Doug's alluding to, you lose a minus 220 favorite. Even if you win the next 2 games at even odds, you're still behind. You're still losing money. So what I would recommend, is what Doug suggested or hinted at, is the run line, but keeping things in perspective, like he also astutely pointed out, 30% of all Major League Baseball results end up on 1-run games. Okay, so there's a high risk there as well, even though you could turn big juice into plus money by going to the run line. Don't forget the totals, folks. I mean, ignoring totals, it shrinks the board in half, especially in this day and age right now with baseball in its current state. Like I alluded to, 17 of 30 teams have losing records. Out of the 13 winning teams, 7 come from just 2 divisions of the 6. You're going to get a lot of big lines, and you really need to take a look at the totals, who very rarely exceed, going over or under, very rarely exceed minus 125. So that's something to keep an eye on. If you have to play a big favorite and you love a big favorite and you're not willing to lay the run line, if you normally play to win 100, then I would risk 100. Lower your risk. Okay. Of course, the reward won't be as much, but my suggestion, and I think Doug would follow suit when I say that, stay away from those big chalks, folks. I know it's hard. It's frustrating right now, but bide your time. Bide your time. Things will level off a little bit as the season progresses, if history repeats itself, and we'll get more opportunities down the road. As a matter of fact, Doug, Major League Baseball, we got 2 free picks for you on Thursday, June the 9th. Let's start with you, my friend.
All right, let's start off. We got the New York Yankees and the Minnesota Twins on Thursday night, and the Bronx Bombers, Ross, they are just otherworldly right now. I mean, as we tape this video, they're 40-15 on the season, and they're winning by an average of 2 runs a game. Okay, I mean, that's just crazy. Now, their pitching has just been absolutely fantastic, and they're going to start Garrett Cole. He's going to be on the bump. He's 5-1 with a 2.7 ERA, and he has regained the confidence that he lost last year after he had to give up the sticky stuff. Okay, and had to just throw the ball. I guess naked is maybe the right word to use from that standpoint. But he was a good pitcher. The stuff helped him. He kind of lost his confidence a little bit on that one, but he's back. Okay, he's back to being a stud like he was previously. He'll be opposed by Dylan Bundy, and Bundy this year for the Twins is 3-3 with a 5.57 ERA. Now Bundy, though, he's an oddball in terms of home road. Okay. Now, of his 9 starts, only 3 of them have been at home. But at Target Field, he has an ERA of 0.57. Okay, so that's just nuts from that stuff. That's a weird anomaly, it seems to me. But I do believe it is an anomaly in this case, because against the Yankees, Ross, he is 2-6 with an ERA over 6 against the Yankees. Now, Cole, on the other hand, He is 3-0 against the Twins with an ERA under 1, and his teammates since last season, they are 7-1 straight up and 6-2 against the run line against the Twins. So I think you start to see where I'm going here.
Yeah.
Two elements to consider. Okay, with the total sitting at 8. The Twins are 10-26 against the run line at home when the total is 8 to 8.5. And Bundy is a miserable 3-11 against the run line when the total is 7 to 8.5. I think we got actually a fairly decent price, at least right now, on the run line with the Yankees at -115. And that's where I'm going, Ross, taking the Bronx Bombers to get the job done in the Twin Cities. Okay, at -115 on the run line.
So Doug Upstone likes those New York Yankees, those red hot New York Yankees, at -1.5 on the run line, at money line odds of -115. Doug, I'm a Yankee fan, so I sort of try to stay objective, and it's hard. It's hard when they're playing this well. But yeah, I mean, not only are they 40-15 on the year, they're 33-9 in their last 42. And I believe you mentioned that statistic, what the record was when there's a total of 7 to 8.5 this year. It's even better over their last 36 in that situation this season, 31-5 in their last 36 games, whenever there's been a total of 7 or 8.5. And the Yankees have absolutely dominated the Twins since 2010. You can look up the record archives on that, and it will definitely, the evidence will be there for my claim. All right, let's get to my free pick. And that comes in the Boston Red Sox and LA Angels game. And the scheduled starting pitchers for the Boston Red Sox is Nick Pivetta, and he'll be facing an Angels team right now that's been horrible, losing 13 straight games. Joe Madden, who had them 12 games over 500 at one point early this season, how fortunes can change. He was let go and fired. Phil Nevin steps in last night. They lose 6-5. The losing continues. Shohei Ohtani is a scheduled starter for the LA Angels. And I'm not a big fan of Ohtani on the mound. I think he's a great ball player, a great hitter, a great outfielder with a gun for an arm, obviously, as a starting pitcher. But I just find him to be erratic as a starting pitcher for numerous reasons that I'm not going to bore everybody and get into. But over his last 2 starts, he's allowed 9 earned runs in 9 innings pitched and 5 home runs in those 9 innings pitched in those 2 starts. Of course, that came against the Yankees and Toronto, 2 very good power hitting teams. But Boston's starting to come around offensively too, Doug. This is a Red Sox team that's won their last 6 on the road, in 9 of their last 11 away games, on top of the fact that going into Wednesday at the time of our taping, of course, we don't know what the result is of tonight's game between Boston and the Angels because we're taping 24 hours in advance. But having said that, going into that game, Boston had won 6 in a row. Nick Pivetta on the mound for Boston. Wow. His last 6 starts. How about a 1.32 ERA and an 0.73 whip, and averaging 6.8 innings pitched per start? And the Boston bullpen, which was struggling at points this year, has been terrific over the last 7 games with a 1.77 ERA. I like the Boston Red Sox here as a money line underdog of +125 over the LA Angels. And boy, the Angels bullpen too, Doug. I think we talked about this last week. On the season, they're only converting 56% of their save opportunities, 14 for 25. And I would venture to say that probably about 10 of those blown saves have come over the last 2.5 weeks or so. So not a good situation, but I'm going to go take a shot here on the underdog and take Boston here, +126, the hotter team, obviously, okay, against an ice cold team in the Angels with a red hot starting pitcher in Nick Pivetta. So it's Boston for me, +126 over the Angels. For Doug Upstone, it's the New York Yankees -1.5 at money line odds of -115 over the Minnesota Twins. Doug, We got a couple minutes left. Fill the
Yep.
folks in how well you've been doing as always, and where they could find you, sir.
Yes, I'll make it snappy here. I see the clock's running as well. So NBA, we got games the next 3 days, or there's 3 different dates. We got games. So have picks on all those, including tonight. And so 57-33 run in the NBA since January 21st. So looking to stay red hot in that. And depending on the outcome of tonight's game, I might have a big play on Friday. If one thing goes my way, I'm going to go there. Mentioned horses. Okay. I've won 4 of the last 5 Triple Crown races. I expect to keep that going. Okay. With this upcoming Saturday. So you can check out my picks at Doug Upstone page at Doc Sports. Major League Baseball, 9-5 run. Okay, making some progress here. So I'm happy about that. And the NHL playoffs, Ross, we're getting close to getting to the finals now, and on a nice 19-12 run in the NHL. And so everything's looking pretty good. Okay, not perfect, but pretty darn good. Ross, how about yourself?
One of the finest handicappers in the country, Doug Upstone of DocSports.com. Folks, you should follow him. Take a dabble into one of his subscription plans. Let him make you money over the long haul. Or if you're somebody who likes to dabble in once in a while, you can find Doug, like I alluded to, at a great website, DocSports.com, full of great handicappers. Doug being my favorite one. No offense to the rest of those gentlemen over there. You can find me at rbwins.com. R as in Ross, B as in Benjamin, WINS.com. And yes, that's what I do, because especially when you follow my 10-star top plays, 34-14. With my last 48 10-star top plays, which basically are my best bets. And so on fire there, the NBA since April the 1st, 40-25, that's 63%. What am I missing? MLB 11-7 with my last 18, a modest 61%. Folks, I don't give you big chalks. So it's return on investment with me. You can find me at rbwins.com, guaranteed single game and multi-game packages daily. If you don't win, you don't make a profit, I'll match your purchase price and put it back into your account, and you'll have that credit to use it any which way you like. New registrants, I should say, not new subscribers, new registrants. If you have not registered at my site and you have a legitimate email, folks, because that's the way you receive your picks, okay, then you can get $100 sign up bonus right now by registering at my site. Go to the website, top left-hand corner, register tab, hit it. Takes all of 40 seconds to fill out the registration form. It's only a one-time thing. Until the next time, for Doug Upstone and Ross Benjamin, we like to wish you all the very best. Thank you for viewing. Good luck and God bless, folks.